Hi, everybody. Oh, let me get my comments on. Hey, Lilina, how are you? Sorry I missed you guys last week. Hopefully I'll be with you next Friday. We have class next Friday too. Hey, Rhonda. Oh, losing my voice already. Already not used to talking to people. Sorry. Hey, Janice. Good, Lilina. Glad you're doing good. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Caroline. Hello, Ara. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Ara, are you finished with your dragons? Because I still haven't started mine. Hey, Patty. Um, so next weekend we had class last weekend with Jeanette Douglas. Hey, Susan, I was in your town today, Susan. I'll have to tell you about that. Hey, Jill. And we weren't able to do our Friday night session. Next week we have Susan Greening Davis here. Hey, Linda. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to coerce Susan into stitching and chatting with us. Hey, Carol. Hey, JP. Hey, Melanie. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Robbie. Um, so, Susan, yeah, we were over in Waynesville today. It was fun. My light's a little bright. I finally found my light that I really like to use. It's a little better. It's not quite blinding me. Hey, Linda. Hey, Vicky. And I have never really walked through it, maybe when I was a kid or something, but I've never really walked through all the little shops and stuff in Waynesville, and it was so sweet. We didn't do it today. We'll do it next time. Hey, Lisa. We, of course, went down to eat some barbecue in the afternoon and cruised through Waynesville on the way back. So, yeah, Everett and I had a day together today, which was fun. Hey, Judy from Mississippi. Um, he had the day off and he's got Monday off, and so I took a little time with him and we just kind of hung out today. Dragon C is done and Tales of A and B. Wow, good for you. Hey, Barbara. I've got to get mine started, or I really had big plans to stitch with everybody. Hey, Terry. We get to eat tostadas with you. Well, that sounds good. Haywood Smokehouse. Yes, I love that place. That's where we ate. And sometimes it gets busy. It's truly the best barbecue I've ever had anywhere in my entire life. And that includes all of the like barbecue masters in our family and stuff. Hey, Rose. Hey, Candy. Get it out. Hey, Candy. From West Virginia. Hey, Carol from New Mexico. Yay. Um, I'm looking forward to loving it, Aura. I'm looking forward to stitching the dragons. The dragons is a needlework piece that Aura and I took through the Shining Needle Society. Hey, Deb. Hey, Elaine. Um, and it's called Nummy's Dragons. And I have not started mine, but I really want to. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece, needlepoint piece. So, hello, Kathleen. How are you? And working on your name tag, Barbara. Good, good, good. So, yeah, so next weekend we have Susan here, and I'm hoping I can persuade her, twist her arm to do a little video with us. That'll be fun. She knows many, many things, and she's done a lot of fun stuff, so it'll be great. So, you guys were asking me for updates from last weekend's class. It was a lot of fun. Some of you were there, so thank you for coming. I have not gotten very far in my stitch piece. As you can imagine, I didn't get stitched much during class. But I did get some of the border done, and it's a pretty smallish kind of sampler. And then there are 3 smalls that go with it. And so they're beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to stitching it. And I was going to try to show you pictures tonight, and I didn't get them downloaded quickly enough. And so I will do that for next week. I'll show you next week. It was fun. But I'm looking forward to it. And it has a companion. It has 2 companion pieces. One of them is Joy Be Thine. And that was a chart that she released at Nashville this year. And the other one is called Stitches Be Sweet. So it's Joy Be Thine, Needle Be True, and Stitches Be Sweet. And they're all fun. Hey, Kelly. And I'm glad you made it. Hey, Kathy. Yeah, Rose, we can definitely do a time change. I forgot about that this week. I'm sorry. It's still 7 o'clock my time. So, well, I think most of you voted for like a later time. A few of you didn't. So I can do that I'll see what Susan's up to next week. We may keep it at 7 next week with her, and then we'll navigate to a new time. So thanks for that. Thanks for letting me know. Um, hey, Kelly. So, yeah, it was fun. So, it was a 2 day class, and we got a lot of stitching done. And then Jeanette was here for a few days. So, we did the Biltmore House thing. And of course, it rained the whole time. And after we got through the Biltmore House, we walked through the rose gardens in the rain because she loves flowers. So, that was a lot of fun. And Everett does not like roses because we have these things that he calls multiflora roses, and I think they grow lots and lots of little roses all over them. But they're kind of a very, they have a lot of thorns, and they grow wild everywhere. They're like a weed. And no, we didn't get the time change, Rose. It might have changed where you are, and maybe that made it better. Um, but he hates those things because he has to dig them out all the time. Hey, Tara. And so he has put a hard line against roses, so we don't have any roses, and I respect that. He spent a lot of time getting torn up by those things and digging them out. So it was so much fun for me to be in the rose garden because I love roses, and I like to smell them. It's really funny. It was really funny to watch me because I'd like try to get all my, I've got all, whatever I've got in my hands, my phone, my bag, whatever, and I kind of lean forward and squat down where I can get my nose right up to it. Yeah, they are invasive. Hey B. And one time I got stung on the nose. Deal with that. I don't care. It didn't faze me. I'll do it again. But a lot of the roses I noticed didn't have a smell. And it was about 50-50. I mean, they were all beautiful, but about 50% didn't have any smell. All of the older roses had scent. And so, like, there was a rose there from 1840, and it was more than one. It was several bushes of that same type of rose. And I'm assuming it was planted there in 1840. There was one from 1942 or something like that. Those older roses had a great scent to them, and one of them had a really, what I would call, a hoochie scent. It was really strong. It smelled like really bad cheap perfume. Um, so, hey to Chicago, hey Lori. And so that one was kind of funny. I don't really love those, neither did Jenna. It was like an overpowering rose smell. And it's natural, right? But man, it's strong. It was neat that it had it. I'm glad it had it. But the ones that smell just a little bit more subtle, I enjoy more. Um, so yeah, so the older ones tend to have their scent, and some of the newer ones don't. They're all beautiful, and I enjoyed all of them. So it was a lot of fun. But it was pretty entertaining since it was raining on us the whole time. They breed them to look pretty and last, but they lose the scent. Yeah, Kathy. So that seems to be what happened. But the older ones were also beautiful. Maybe they don't last, but I don't know. The whole garden was full of roses, and and of course it was like the third week of May for us here in North Carolina. We'd had a few really hot days, like up in the 90s. And we were back down in the, say, 70s those days. And some of the roses were faded, but there were other roses right behind them just ready to pop out into bloom. So that was really beautiful and fun. And Jeanette took good pictures. So if you want to see a few pictures, I think she posted some on Instagram. I took a few, but I didn't post them out there. Mine weren't very good. I was really just taking pictures of the ones that I liked so I could remember what they were. I like the ones that, I mean, I love them all. My favorite roses are kind of the old-fashioned ones. So I like the ones that either look like they are in a big bulb and they just kind of, have tons of little petals and they pop out. I forget what they're called. Um, and so they come out in a round ball, and then they just, they open up and they've got tons and tons of little petals. I really like those, and I like the ones that have like a yellow center. So there were some that were white petals with a little yellow crown of the center, and I really like that. My parents had roses in our front yard too, and my mom and my dad were both great at growing cabbage roses. Yes, those are my favorite. Good, Judy. Thank you for helping me. Um, and I think there's still some over at my dad's house that grow along the fence line. I loved them, and I would love to plant some, but I don't know. Maybe I can get by with planting one or two in a pot at the Beard house, just so he knows they're not gonna like grow everywhere. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it was fun to walk through the yard and smell them. And we picked roses out of the yard once in a while, but really not often. We kind of just let them grow and enjoyed them. And they grew a lot of irises, my parents did. And so there were all these beautiful big irises. And my mom would grow all kinds of other plants, all kinds of other flowers in the flower bed. A lot of snapdragons. What else was there in there? I can't even think of what they all were. Of course, mums and stuff, but they had beautiful big irises that I think had came from my grandmother's house. I think they'd carried those down, and those had been around for many, many years. The bulbs. So fun. I may go back over there and look, and see if there's any that still pop up once in a while, and see if I can snag a few. My sister lives in that house. I own it, but my sister lives in it, so she can't get too mad. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a fun class. I'm looking forward to next weekend. We're getting stuff ready for Susan's. Now, on that note, I will show you, because the class that Susan, I've showed the class piece to you a bunch, but we got the booklet published. So this is the sampler that we took the little small out of. And, not the best picture of it, of course. That's the antique on the back. But really, really beautiful. So this side coming down through here. These are, you can see my little nails. I was playing around. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So these are ribbons that we think are, similar to the marking ribbons. So this one's just really pretty. And it did not show up that great in the picture, which, neither here nor there. This looks like a linen that's like corn tassel, but it's not. The model was stitched on Russian tea cake. So this chart is on the website, along with the kits for it. And so it's stitched on 37 count Russian tea cake with NPI silk. And then there's also, the person that stitched the model is also stitching it on 30 count Victoria sponge cake, which is the same color as, this is the centerfold for it, the same color as Russian tea cake. Markin ribbons from the Isle of Markham. Aura. Yeah, the peacock's super cute. So this is the centerfold of it. You can see it's got some little people. You can't see all the detail here. I'm telling you, it's gorgeous. I feel like I might have shown you guys the model at some point, and I might have a better picture of it than what it printed. The chart is excellent. It's got all the specialty stitches noted in it. It's just really great, and it's large. I'll just show you a little clip of it. I mean, you can see the charting is nice and large, and it is in color, but it's got great symbols and great annotations at the bottom down here. We tell you what color and what kind of stitch it is. So it is 214 stitches wide by 268 high. The booklet is $25. And it's really beautiful. It's circa 1730, from Friesland, Dutch. It's in the upper part of, was in the upper part of Holland, still there. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sampler. She found a good one when she found this one. I've already sent the antique, and we actually charted it for her. And we borrowed a graph for one of the stitches from, I don't know why I'm having trouble remembering names today. I'm going to tell you, though. She does a lot of white work from Terry Bay. So, there's a stitch in there that we had not seen before and had not charted, and it needed a lot of charting. And it's called a top winder stitch, and Terry Bay was gracious enough to loan us her charting. So, we used her chart for that stitch, the stitch diagram, basically. And we noted that in here from her. So it's kind of nice that people do cooperate in the needlework world, and you don't waste all those resources, because we would have to go to another graphic artist and pay to have it charted and stuff. And Terry was really sweet and let us use her chart. A lot of stitches we can do the stitch diagrams ourselves. They're not that hard. But that top winder stitch was interesting. It's just different. You're basically kind of weaving underneath some stitches. So, different. And there is an example of it in one of Yvette Stanton's books. But I don't know that there's a stitch diagram. There might be. a stitch diagram in there of it, but I think it's done a little differently than this one. So yeah, so if you're interested in that, the book is out there on our website, $25. It'll come up under Susan Greening Davis. It'll come up under Dutch Dalliance. That's what we named it. The kits are there. You can click on the kits. You can pick what you want. You do need to do it on linen. It's not one that you can do on Aida because you've got those counted stitches. Okay, let me tell you about this. So, this is not stitching related. It is and it isn't. It mostly is not. So, my nails just don't grow. And I keep them about this length because when they get longer, they kind of break and crack and whatever. And I hardly ever put a color on them. Most of the time, if I paint them, it's clear. I like to paint my toenails, and I'll put color on them, but I don't put color usually on my fingernails. But you can see I got something new, and I tried it out. And I just ordered this from this company I saw. I got sucked into an ad on Facebook. But it's like a powder thing. And so you put this base coat on, and then you take this little applicator, and you rub this powder stuff on it. And then you put the top coat on. And that's all there is to it. And it's really held up pretty good today. Because my nails are so soft, the nail polish usually peels right off the next day. So, and I can't do gel nails or anything because they completely destroy my nails. My nails are just too soft for that. And trying to get gel or anything off is just insanity. So I don't bother with that. But this, I've abused it today and it's held up pretty good. So I'm going to see how long it lasts on that one hand. I ended up with 3 colors. They're all kind of light. We'll see how that does. But that's just one little coat of that metal stuff. And if you're interested, I'll tell you what it was next week. But it made them look kind of nice. I actually didn't even shape them or clip or anything. I just did it. So, I'm terrible with nails. So, I hope you guys had a good week. Good 2 weeks. We started watching a new show last night, and we kind of binge watched a lot of it, called The Lincoln Lawyer, which is one that Gary Parr recommended. We really liked it. We tried to watch Bosch again, and I've tried to watch that before, and it's it starts really slow. It's slow for me, so I didn't get through it very far. I wanted to show you this because we talked about this last time. So I did finish up the nun stitch, and I clipped off all the excess. I haven't put the wool on the back because I want to add a little more things to it. But I did want to mention it again because I did pull a thread where I was going to cut before I cut. And that was great. And so I would recommend that you do that. I forget who it was online that said, "Hey, pull a thread, Kim. Don't be a dummy." Because I was like, cut very carefully. And somebody said, pull a thread. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So, if you want to go back and watch the video from 2 weeks ago, and I'll try to post another one that's better quality to see how I did that nun stitch. It's, it's a really straightforward kind of thing. Before you cut off your excess, pull a thread so that you have the gusset to cut in. And then you'll be fine. So that's a great finishing method. I'm probably going to use the same thing for my Red February. So I will finish this up before the weekend because this is my name tag for the weekend, and I'll show you how it goes. I wanted to show you too what I did with the silks that I was using. I just tied them on a little piece of seam binding, and we actually started doing this a week or so ago on 103. If you ordered it from us, we put it on a little ring like this. It just is an easy way to keep up with the project. So, because you don't really, you can put them in a tin or something like that, but it's kind of nice to have it like that. Hey, Phyllis. Oh, thank you, Candy. I appreciate that. German samplers. Okay, I missed that comment. I can just see the end of it, and it won't let me go back up. So, I don't think I can go back up there. Let me see. I have a mostly German background. Do you know if there are German samplers? Well, yeah. So, as a matter of fact, we have a Saxon sampler. And I will see if I can pull this picture up here. I don't know if it'll let me do it. Okay. So you should be able to see that. That is a German sampler. It's from Saxony. Um, it is a model of an antique that we own that we will be publishing very soon. Um, it's just waiting on me to send one more picture over to Allie to get it to get the booklet done, and we'll get it into print. That model was stitched by Debbie Moore, a local person and a good friend of mine, over one. The antique itself was over two, and it was actually on more of a white linen. Thank you, Kelly, for the compliment. I appreciate that. Um, it was actually on kind of an antique white linen, and this is a banding, and it's kind of a sand colored banding. And we did that so that you could see all the colors. And also we did that because it was the right width. Because banding is not that easy to come by. And we wanted a model that was over one so that it would fit on our cover, to be quite honest. Because it is just, it's so big. And this one is, about a yard long. This model is. So, something like that. Maybe a little less than that. Because I feel like I feel like we cut the piece a yard and a half or a yard or something. It might have some, I think it's a yard and it's got some margin or something. It's long, but that's over one. So over two, it's a long piece. But that is a German sampler, and that's very representative of samplers that come from Saxony in Germany. And at the top of it, you see what's called... just losing the Lamb of God. It took me a minute. And so you see that blue animal there? That's the Lamb of God, whose heart is pierced and his blood's coming out into a chalice. That's, religious symbol. A lot of sampler symbols are. You see that beautiful stag underneath it. If you come further down, you see the parrot and the big peacock. You also see a spinning monkey on that row. That little creature that has kind of a staff beside it, beside the peacock, that's a spinning monkey. And that shows up on a lot of samplers. If you come down, you see a stylized kind of Adam and Eve. They're kind of funky looking, and a lot of Saxon samplers have that same Adam and Eve. There's a book of patterns in one of the museums. I want to say it's at the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I think it's at the Met. I might be wrong about that. Sorry, Candy. Didn't mean to add your comment up there, but thank you for that. I can tell I'm losing my skill sets on this. And then it's got, for the time period, it would have been a modern man and woman on that row there beside the Adam and Eve. That snake is a really neat snake. He's kind of double layered. And so we had fun charting him. He's got this layer of stitches that are kind of like a blue. And then he's got another layer of stitches kind of over him. And so that you kind of see both colors on him. It's kind of neat. It was very well done. Can you guys see the picture? I think you can. Tell me if you can't. I feel like you're commenting and I'm not seeing them. I've messed myself up here. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can click all comments again. I'm going to close comments and reopen it so I can see it again. Yeah, so I've missed some. Okay, so you can see. Okay. Yeah, so, and then you come down and you've got, I can't see those other motifs too well from here. You've got a really pretty, another man and woman underneath a tree, which I love. I think that's so pretty. The year is on here twice, and I believe this is 1741 is when this sampler was stitched. You have kind of another, I think this is another Lamb of God inside that square. And then you get down into bands, and the bands are so beautiful. And so it's just fun to stitch in alphabets and stuff. And it's a beautiful sampler. So that's the next one that we'll issue if plans go well. It's pretty much ready. Just need to take that time and get that other picture over there, and we're good to go. But that one I would suggest when you stitch it, we'll sell, like a long cut so that you don't have to buy like a whole yard or whatever for it. We'll custom cut that for you because it'll be an interesting cut. It's narrow and long. That is almost all cross stitch. So on that one, if you decide you want to stitch it, you can certainly do it. If you don't want to do specialty stitches, or if you want to stitch it on Aida, it would be fine on Aida. It's the only thing it's not cross stitch is a little bit of back stitch. on it, I'm pretty sure, and that's it. And the rest of it is all cross stitch. And so, and it really was stitched in these colors. So since we own the antique, we can see the front and the back. And as is true with a lot of Saxon samplers, they were very vivid colors. And so people kind of rebelled against this when we did it in a chapter club probably 3 or 4 years ago. And we released it in a newsletter. And there were a group of people that just didn't like the colors. And that's fine, each to their own. But it really was, I got a lot of challenges as to whether or not those are the real colors. And they are. So they are true to what a Saxon sampler would look like as originally done. And that's how we charted it. Now, if you want to substitute out and do, more muted colors, of course you can. No worries. It won't hurt my feelings. And so as we chart all of ours, this one's in needlepoint ink silk. It's also in DMC. And at one point we had a Verissoise Soie d'Alger. And I'm not sure if we kept that with it or not, but we certainly do have it available. So if you really like stitching with Soie d'Alger, when this one publishes, if it's not on the booklet, let us know. I'll probably put it on the website. And you'll have it there. So thank you for asking about German samplers. There's one for you. And that was not even planned. Does it have a stitcher? It has a couple of sets of initials. But, from 1741... it's impossible to know who that was, and we don't know who it was. I think the initials on it, I forget, I think they're AE. We see a lot of AE on it. I think it's in 2 different places. But yeah, I don't have a way to figure out who actually stitched it. But I'm pretty sure it was those set of initials since they're on there twice. But just the bands at the bottom are really beautiful if you didn't even want to stitch all the motifs. That's probably my favorite part of that one, are all those beautiful bands at the bottom. It's like the whole second half of the sampler. I like the motifs and stuff too, but I really like all those bands. You can't see them as well on the screen right now, but they're very pretty. I'll leave that up. You can look at it for a few minutes. I wanted to talk to you too about what I've been stitching. So, of course, I spent last week getting ready for class, and then I stitched a little bit on the class project while I was in class, and that was it. I haven't picked it back up. I haven't stitched on this in a while, but it was in my bag, so I wanted to show it to you again. So this was Red February. This is still available for free download out there, so if you haven't done it yet and you want to, it's still out there. The name of it, Melanie, is 1741 Saxon sampler. It's just not published yet. So it should be out, I'm going to say 2 weeks probably. It'll be out there and ready. So Red February, I know a lot of you have finished it. I haven't finished mine. I'm continuing to do initials, but I will get that done. And today I started, because I like to start. Somebody asked me a question about the sun always shines at Sassy Jack's. And that was our bespoke little chart that Stephanie of Lindy Stitches did for us. This is a picture of what it looks like. Now, if you don't want to put SJ on yours, she actually did a full alphabet for it. And so there's a link in the chart that takes you to a full alphabet. And you can substitute out your own initials or whatever you want to do for that. And a few people have finished it. I think Lalina finished it. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. And so, I think Lalina finished it, but I've seen a few people finish it. I wanted to check what the person asked me about. So she said she thought there was an error in the chart and that there was the same symbol used for, see the outline of the squirrel's legs, that little light color, and then the charcoal that's used on the arrow. She said the same symbol was used for those, and it is. So I'll send Stephanie a note, but if you've got the chart, you can just take a look at the chart and see that where you should use the charcoal versus where you use the light tan. And so I started mine today, but I started it on Aida because I have the model. So I've already got the model and it's stitched on linen, but this is such a beautiful fabric. I really wanted to do it again and put my initials on it just so that people could see that you can put different initials on it. And then I wanted to stitch on this Aida. So this is a pistachio Color and Cotton, and it is just gorgeous. And I don't know how well it's showing up there, but it's really pretty. It's kind of a mint green color. And you've got basically a fat eighth, definitely, not basically, you've got a fat eighth in the chart, so you've got some extra. There's my start. That was about 10 minutes of stitching. So, yeah, thank you, Lillian. I appreciate that. I will let her know that there's an error, but yeah, just take a look at it, and you can tell what color goes where. But the kit for that, if you are interested and you didn't know about it, is $50. It includes the chart, the fabric, either Aida or linen, you pick, and the full set of threads. So it includes the specialty threads and the DMC threads are all in there. I wadded mine up, but so $50 and you have the whole thing, and you have access to that other set of initials if you want to change it. The Aida is beautiful, and I know that some of you love Aida, some of you don't, but gosh, every once in a while it's just fun to stitch on because it's just kind of a break. It's something different. And this Aida from Color and Cotton from Picture This Plus, we have a lot of Aida from Picture This Plus. It's so soft and beautiful colors. You know, it's hard not to want to stitch on it. So if you ever find yourself wanting to change, you can try that. I feel like there was a question I wanted to ask you guys, and now I can't remember what it was. I don't remember. This is the other thing that I have been stitching a lot on. It's kind of entertaining. It's the cryptid stitch. And so I'm almost done with the border on it. And this was last year it started. And a cryptid is like a fake beastie out in the wild, like frogman or jackalope or yeti. You see all those on there. And then I'm a little bit over halfway. I've got to finish that out because they're starting a new one. It's a chart by the Witchy Stitcher, and they're starting a new one in June called Supernatural. And so I don't know what it'll have on it, but I thought it might be fun to stitch that, to give that a shot. Okay, so I was going to stitch with you, but we can talk too. You have the cryptid one and ordered Supernatural. Me too, Elena. So, but I really want to finish that cryptid one because I want to finish something. And I have finished a few things. I just haven't put them together. So you thought they were real. Well, a lot of people think they're real. That's what makes them so interesting. Well, we did have the Bigfoot Festival here a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people do swear that they saw him. So, you know, and of course the jackalope, and Nessie's on there. So, you know, Nessie's definitely real. The Loch Ness Monster, she's my favorite. That's fun. But, so, ask me a question. I'll make up an answer. I've shown you all my special things tonight. What else do I have going on here? You know, class took a lot of time. You're going to stitch them both at the same time if you can find enough free bars to put them on. Okay, that reminded me. Have you come up with a plan for above the door? No, we haven't, Barbara. We haven't. I'm still thinking a squirrel, like a running squirrel, is what I'm thinking. And I'm probably going to go back to the stained glass. I mean, a wood carving would be great if I could find somebody to do it. And maybe I can. And maybe I'll try. We did pass by some signs that said that they were custom wood signs. And so maybe I could get somebody with it's called a CNC machine to do something for me like that, where I could put it on there. Because the CNC machine is basically a computerized carving machine that some woodworkers use. I know a friend of mine, her husband made us a clock, a Sassy Jack Stitchery clock, which is beautiful. It has our logo on it. And I think that might be how I did that. So I'll check into that, and if not, we'll go back to stained glass, and we'll pop that little hole back out and put a stained glass piece in there. The Lizard Man lives in Aiken. I believe it. So I listen to this podcast called Lore sometimes, Lore. And it's really funny. the guy's voice is very soothing to me, which is very interesting because the subject matter is like folklore. And so he tells all these folklore stories, and they all are stories that you can find all kind of documentation on, but he never, he's very clear that they're folklore. They're not, there may be pieces that are true and pieces that aren't. And, you don't know at this point. But they're all really interesting, and they're all about all kinds of different things. And so he's had some cryptids on there before, which were fun. But I listen to Laura all the time, especially when I'm working, because I've pretty much heard them all. And so it's just the sound of his voice. It's like not being alone, and you've got this, calming, soothing voice talking about these crazy things, which might be why I have trouble sleeping sometimes. But my thoughts on Lanata. Do I like it? And does it come in an 18 or 20 count? Lanata is Aida with the boxes made with linen threads. And right now, the only Lanata that I know of that comes into this country comes from Access Commodities. And they're the same people that produce Legacy Linen for us. And so I think it's one of the same makers of Legacy Linen that makes the Lanata. And the only way that it comes to us is in a 14 count and an 18 count. So I've not seen Lanata, and I believe it comes out of Paris. I think it's coming on a Parisian blend. I might be wrong about that. Or not Paris, Italy. Take it back. I think it's coming from an Italian linen maker, because that's what Legacy Linen comes on, most of it. I'm not entirely certain. I'll have to ask them more about that. But I've not seen Lanata in counts other than 14 and 18. I'll talk to her and see if she has plans to bring anything else in. It comes in kind of a white color, and then the dyers dye it. And so we do have some in some other colors from one of the dyers. It's expensive because the Lanata is more expensive than regular Aida, just like an overdyed Aida is more expensive than like a Charles Craft or something like that. But I think that it's really nice to stitch with. The holes are a little bit easier to see because it's not been overdyed most of the time. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. It's the overdying process, which includes the dyeing and the drying and the ironing, that makes the fabric shrink a little bit. And so it makes the holes tighter. It makes the weave tighter and the holes a little bit harder to see. So if you buy a Lanata that's not been dyed, so it's that white color, it's really, really easy to see. If you buy a Lanata that's gone through the dyeing process, like, trying to think. I've seen it come from different overdyers, and we actually do have some. I just can't remember who they are. Beautiful. Just a little bit tighter weave. And that's true of all fabrics. If it's gone through an overdying process, like a hand dyeing process, it shrinks a little bit almost all the time. If it's a solid dye, like Legacy Linen is a solid dye, or Zweigart, if you buy it straight from Zweigart, and it's one of the Zweigart colors, it's a solid dye. It's not tight. The weave is normal. It's not been shrunken up by its processing. So that's the difference. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that, Melanie, and grid fabric. Okay, so I like Lanata a lot, and I'll ask Lamora if she expects that they're going to get other counts. But it's really nice, and I actually really like the colors of it when you get it dyed. Do I like it better than regular Aida? Not really. I mean, I guess maybe it feels nicer in the hand because it's a linen versus a cotton fiber. But I don't really have a strong preference for Lanata versus Aida. When I get between those, it comes down to color and count. And so you pick the one you like. That's what I would say. And if you find Lanata and one that you love the color of, then for sure buy it. I'm definitely for Lanata, but I also like just the Aidas too. They're really nice. I don't have any grid fabric right now, Rhonda, but we probably will pick it up. We're kind of trying not to, I say this with laughter in my voice because I've not done well with this personally. We're trying to keep ourselves a little skinny in the shop until we get moved back into our brick and mortar so that we don't have to move it, twice as much stuff. So, um, we are still so well stocked on linen and threads and that stuff. We're a little bit low on gentle art. They're hard to get, and we're a little bit low on those, but some of the specialty stuff like that, gridded fabric, we'll pick back up once we get back in our shop. So I don't have any right now that I recall. I don't think I do. But we will in a couple months. And I know that's the question. When are you going to be in there? I don't know. I don't know. I know we'll be in there before the end of the year. I'm pretty sure we'll be in there by August. We've got good weather this weekend, and so we're planning on going over there and working, and, we'll turn it. So I'll let you know when we're in there for sure. So you're getting ready to take a needlepoint class through the Shining Needles Society. Okay, now, so let me tell you about that first of all. If you go on, onto the interweb, go onto the internet and Google or search or whatever, Shining Needle Society. They do online classes, and they've been doing online classes since way before anybody else, including me. They did online classes when I was still living in Raleigh. I want to say as far back as I know, 2013, 2014, maybe 2012. They've been doing it a long time. They're good at it. And so lots of designers teach with them. K.N. Rogers has taught with them. Orna Willis is a class that I took with them. Lots of different needlepoint, cross stitch, all kinds of different classes on the Shining Needle Society. You don't have to pay a thing to join. You just sign up, and you get emails from them then that tell you what the classes are that are upcoming, and you can choose to sign up for a class or not. And if you sign up for a class, the instructor sets the way that it goes. You get it's mostly online, and so you get links to instructions and pictures and all that stuff. And once in a while, they'll do like a Zoom class, so you can ask questions and stuff. And that's the way Orna's is set up. But not all of them do that. So if you're looking for online classes, that's a great place. Go check them out. They probably do 3 or 4. I want to say at least 3 a month they start. So go check them out, the Shining Needle Society. They're fantastic. What size needles and what size you plan to use? Gonna use tulips because of your metal allergy. Okay. So, usually you're going to need a 22 needle in a regular needle, and in a tulip, it's going to have a bigger size. So a tulip needle is built a little bit differently. So their size like 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, something like that. I'll have to go look at the sizing. It's still the same, that the smaller the number, the bigger the needle. It's an inverse relationship, just like with our needles. When you get to a bigger number, like a 28 needle, it's smaller than a 24. Theirs is the same way, but theirs kind of work a little bit differently. Sorry, the light's going crazy here. It's probably my little heater. Don't tell my husband. I don't think it does that upstairs. I feel like I'm possessed down here. Let me turn my little heater off. I felt like Morse code there for a minute. But their size is a little different. So the length is the same. The shaft might be just a little bit fatter on a tulip needle, but it's not enough to tell. So you're going to need a 22 on the small side, Melanie, in a regular needle, and a 20 maybe in a regular needle. And so let me double check, and I'll just send you a note as to what I think that would be in tulip. And we do have most of them. Hey, Rita, no worries. I've just been rambling. You didn't miss anything. But, you want to go with the bigger sizes. So I'm going to say for tulip, that would probably be, an 18 and a 20, or maybe a 20 and a 22 or something like that. I'll have to look, Melanie, but I'll look and I'll let you know. And we'll get you set up. It kind of depends on what threads you're using, to be honest. If you tell me what class you're taking, I can probably figure out what threads they're using, because the thicker the thread, the bigger the eye that you need. And I don't blame you if you're using tulip needles. They're really nice. The other thing you can do with the metal allergy is you can use a gold needle. And I will tell you where you can get really good gold needles, if they still do it, is the Cross Stitch Guild in the UK. And they sell excellent gold needles. I might have a few John James gold needles. Um, but the Cross Stitch Guild in the UK used to sell gold needles, or gold plated needles rather, and they were really, really good. So that's another way. They're more expensive. If Tulip does it for you, that's a cheaper way to go, and I would do Tulip. Um, and they're good for needlepoint, because when you're doing like some surface stuff where you're trying to, get your needle underneath, I'm behind that picture, and bend it. I'm going to take that off. Tulip needles have a little bend in them. They'll let you put a little pressure on them, and you can bend them a little bit. Whereas if you did that with another needle, it might break. Hey, Sharon. So that's kind of the difference in tulips. But I'll look at the sizing. But it depends on the thread. So depending on what size needle they tell you, then we can translate that into tulip. But you want to go with a bigger needle, almost always for needlepoint, because the threads are usually thicker. And you want them to get through the eye without too much damage. Well, if you're taking the gold plate off, then for sure don't spend the money on it. So, tulips are great. Or, some people that take the finish off a needle will just buy an inexpensive needle and just replace them. But if tulips actually hold their finish for you, that's fantastic. So, definitely use those. You can get John James needles in bulk. They're the only ones that I can get in bulk. And I think I heard Jeanette Douglas say the same thing this past weekend. The other, we've not found a place to get the other needles in bulk. I don't know of a place. They might be out there. But you can buy like, 25 needles or 100 needles or 1,000 needles in John James, and you can buy them in bulk. And it's, depending on what you need, you could go that way too. It lowers the price quite a bit, but, you're still paying, $1 or something a needle. But if you can get the finish on the tulips to keep, then for sure go with those. I'm looking forward to your needlepoint class. I probably saw it come through there. I just didn't sign up for it because there were some cool ones that I thought about that I saw recently that I didn't sign up for, since I need to finish mine. And I've got so many others I need to finish that I really want to finish. I've got a few Michael Boren that I love. I've finished a few of his, but I've got some I want to finish that I haven't done. So, any other questions? Come on, I haven't rambled anywhere nearly enough tonight. So, what was I going to tell you? I got a new sampler today. It's not even in box. It's in a huge box. It showed up today. The box itself looks like it's like, well, let's see. It has the dimensions on it. 35 by 6 by 30. That's how big of a box they sent that sampler in. It's a Spanish sampler. So, and I own 2 or 3 other Spanish samplers, but I don't own anything like this one. So this one's going to be really special. It is very beautiful. Very beautiful. Very colorful. It has a name on it. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, Rhonda, see you next time. Thanks for joining. Have I started the red sampler? I did start the red sampler. I did. I started it with a, it's called autumn foliage or fall foliage or something like that. It's kind of an orangey red thread. Open it. Yeah. I was going to open it for you guys tonight. It's just such a massive beast. I just didn't get it done. When are you going to see it? Maybe not next week, maybe the week after that, because Susan will be here next week and I won't be able to take it with me to the class, but maybe the week after that. Rainbow Inches. Yeah, I looked at that one. I did. That one's pretty cool. Are we going to have a sal for Alice Ellen Usher? Well, sure, we can do that. Lori, I know that some of the folks from Star Trek, you're going to love that. From Fiverr Talk. I got Star Trek on my mind tonight. Some of the Star Trek Fiverr Talk people wanted to do a sal with me, so that'd be great. I've got to send them their stuff, so I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. I'll get you your stuff out. But Yeah, we can do a sal if you guys want to do a sal. I would love to. It's a big one, but we can do it and we'll just chat about it. So here's a question for you, and I think I know the answer to it. With a Bristol, I start in the upper left corner. Some people start in the lower left or lower right. I don't know anybody on a big Bristol like that that starts in the middle. But if you want to do, that's what you want to use for your Alisson and the fabric. Okay, I can help you with that, Candy. I know you wanted me to help you. I can do that. I'll get with you. Um, so the fabric, just so you know, Candy, is Mayflower. I did Mayflower because it's got this beautiful undertone to it that was really pretty. And then the thread is Gloriana, which I actually don't have. We'll be carrying that when we get into the shop too. So for the Gloriana thread, I'll send you the name, and I can tell you some places to check. I'll send it to you in email, or we'll talk on the phone. I'll try to get with you. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow because I might be working at the Baird house, but early next week, I'll try to get with you. You always start in the middle, Kelly, even on a big giant one like that. Holy cowabunga, man. That's huge. I start in the middle a lot if I'm worried about fabric. I start in the middle a lot, and then I'll stitch out to the side and up to a corner and then over. I try to get two sides done that meet. Then I'm pretty sure I've got enough room. Yeah, I love Gloriana. So we will definitely have that when we open up. They take a while to come in, so I'm probably going to put that order in next week. And then hopefully by the time we get moved in, we'll have it. So, wow. Okay, well, did you start in the middle? Oh, in the middle of the top row. That's okay too. Because if you start in the middle of the top row, you know you're centered going across and you've got the right margin on each side. That's okay. That's totally okay. Upper left. Okay, because what I was thinking about, it was, oh, I'm glad you're going to do it with us, Janice. Yeah, Lori, I don't blame you. I feel that way too. What I was thinking about is whether I should divide it up into little pieces if you guys want to do a sow. I don't really generally like that because you kind of want to go at your own pace. So why don't we go at our own pace? And I'll figure out some way to make that fun and to keep myself on track. So, yeah, I'll figure out a way to make that fun and keep myself on track with it. Yay! So we have Sal. So Beth, you got your wish. Um, so this beautiful Spanish beauty over here beside me. Um, I'll show her to you. I'll show her to you in a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to do something really special with her. She is a really special sampler. And she's got tons of color in her. She's just really beautiful. I can't wait to see what kind of stitches she's got. I think she's mostly satin stitch and cross stitch, but her colors are just magnificent. And she will allow for maybe some smalls. So I'm thinking I might do something fun with her. Um, yeah, Kathleen, the Bristol. Yeah, your own pace. That's good. Yeah, we were talking about a Sal for the Bristol, Alice Ellen Usher. And of course, if you want to do another Bristol, that's fine. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys, I didn't get over there and do it this week, but I'm going to take all my Bristol charts. I collected them, and I'm going to take them to Staples and have them do the binding thing so that I can flip through them because I really used that when I was doing my name tag for Susan's class. I liked looking at the different alphabets and numbers and stuff, so I'm definitely going to do that. That means you know, you have holes in your chart, so you might not want to do it. But when I realized how much I was really using those charts for that, because I kind of messed up my Alice Ellen Usher by flipping through it so much and bending it and stuff and stitching from it. And I think I wouldn't have done that if it had been spiral bound with the others. So I'm going to kind of make a book out of it, basically, and have it be like a little reference book. A chartreuse, yeah, that'll be pretty. Do I have a hank in that color in chartreuse? I do. I don't know if I do or not. I think I do, but I think I got it from, I think I bought it online. I think it's a massive hank. I'll look at it and see, Kelly, what it is. I think I do have one. Some companies that I bought from online in big hanks. I recently got some from Silks for You, but I like, Mrs. Sedus, Sedus. Her silks are really beautiful too. and they'll come in a big hank. Um, and I love those. So if you're looking for, hanks online and you don't like, what we've got, take a look at those. They're variegated. They also do some solids, and they're just beautiful. I don't have a cold or anything. It's just my throat's dry. I've been by myself again for another couple weeks, except for class. But since I didn't teach, I didn't have to do too much chatty. But, so you might look out there and see what you can find for Chartreuse. That'd be pretty. I don't think that, any of what I carry has a hank and a Chartreuse. If you find a color in needlepoint ink that you like in that color, I can order it. And they'll send it to me like within a week. And Janice, your stuff's on its way too. You asked me for some colors and that, and it's on its way. Do I have that pattern? Which pattern, Kathleen? The one for the Bristol? I do have it. It's called Alice Ellen Usher. And this is in Mylar, but this is what it looks like. So, you can see she's a big girl, but she's so pretty. And with it, you get a little project card. We also have these little project cards for sale if you want them. I don't think I put them on the website site, but you can pick another set and just tell me you want these. But they're like 40 cents a piece. They're like 10 in a pack for $4. So I'll think of some fun things to do with this for Sal, and we'll do a Sal. It'll be fun. And I did start mine, and I'm like way up here. So, way up there. So, we talked one time about doing Ziploc bags or, these sticky bags because they're easy for us to store. And we've gotten to where when we get a new chart in, because we like to put something with it. If this had not been all one color, it would have had a bookmark with it. I'm going to show you something mean now. It's not really mean, but it is. It would have had, if it wasn't all one color, it would have had this, which is a thread legend card. So on the back of it, we would give you this bookmark or thread legend card so that you can just put this on your stand and you know what the symbols are. This is for Mabel Took, which Beth has been asking me for. And this is the chart for Mabel Took. She's ready. She's been ready. And this is her little project card. But I want to publish the Saxon first. So you're going to have to wait for Mabel. And the reason why I keep holding out on Mabel is because I did some video lessons for her, and I want to go revisit them, and I want to get them right. And so I need a little bit of time to do that. Not a lot, but, you should be excited because the chart's already done. But, yeah, so the only reason that the Alice Ellen Usher didn't have this thread card is because it's all one color. It was really kind of funny. Allie said, should I do a thread card for her? And I just kind of looked at her. She goes, oh, right. It's just one color. So we didn't. But we did put a project card in there. So what size Aida would I recommend for Alice Ellen? Depends on what you like to stitch on, Rose. She's a big one. She's like 400 and some stitches by 400 and some stitches. So you need to be happy with what you're stitching on. And you're going to need a big piece. Probably, you might have to buy a yard and then cut it down to the right size. And so I would say whatever you're happy stitching on. Now, I'm going to tell you, Beth had a great idea. And thank you for this, Beth. So she mentioned, because it's a big one and you might not want to hang it on your wall. You might, because she'll be beautiful. But if you don't want to hang it, you could make it into a bag, like a needlework bag, which I think is a fabulous idea. So, I don't know. I've got the antique on the wall. I feel like if I'm going to make one to hang on the wall at the shop, it should be red. And mine is not red. It's fall colors, but I might hang it on the wall for a while. But, so, yeah. I don't know. You might have to see what you want to do with it. But I'd say you're going to need to buy a yard and then cut it down. 16 count. Would that come out way too big? She's going to be big no matter what you do. So 16 count for, Alice is, let me tell you, nothing's ever easy on something filmed live. So 16 count, the fabric size is 26 by 26. So you need some margin, and that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to go to, you could go to a fat half then. So a fat half, you can't. You won't have enough margin is the problem. Because a fat half would only give you a 27-inch margin on one side and a 36 on the other. And you really need at least 2 inches on either side. And I really recommend with a piece this big, you do a 3-inch margin around in case your start point is a little askew. Because then you have room, you'll still have room to do whatever. So I would say you need to buy a yard and cut it down. Unless you can get somebody to custom cut. And there are people who custom cut. We'll custom cut for you for this one. For our stuff, we will custom cut. We try not to, we used to custom cut everything. And it was just killing us, to be honest. We just couldn't get through it all. But we will always custom cut for our own samplers. So if you want to custom cut, you tell us what you want and what color you want. She would be beautiful on a number of different colors of Aida. I would say a Heartland from Picture This Plus. And we have lots of 16 count for Picture This Plus. Heartland, Wren from Picture This Plus would be beautiful. Those are the neutral colors. You could jump over to like a Bramble, which is a little more of an off-white gray. That would be really pretty. So, oh, you're making me want to stitch it on one of those. So yeah, so think about that, Rose. And if you find some place to order it, that's fine too. But you'll have your size on the back of your chart. So I think you're either going to have to get a yard or get it custom cut for yourself. Color suggestions. Yeah, I think those would be really pretty. You're going to do a start along. Yeah, I love those. And do however much you do. I'm with you. That's pretty where I am. Start along. That's a better word for it. So on 16 count, to have a 3-inch margin all the way around, you need to have a piece that's 32 by 32. And that includes your margin. Okay, so for 16 count with a 3-inch margin on all 4 sides, the cut size is 32 by 32. And that gives you a 3-inch margin all the way around for her. So, and Melanie, I'm glad you liked Mabel too. I love Mabel. So Mabel, there's the sampler that I showed you the picture of. And then we made a small that illustrated all the specialty stitches because Mabel has a lot of specialty stitches. And that's what the video class is on. And so I wanted to go through and update, make sure that those are legitimate and good for you guys before I release a sampler. So that's what I need to do. And there's a bunch of them. I mean, there was a bunch of little classes, I think. A bunch of little videos. So I just need to watch through those and make sure they're good. Hey, Nancy. Make sure I'm happy with those. So, lots of samplers coming from us. The red and the white, so bright and fresh. Yeah, those are pretty, Sharon. Yeah. And then I got another little sampler this week. You've got your threads picked out, pondering on which size fabric to use. So, I'd stitch on what you're comfortable with because it's a big girl. And, like for me, I can stitch on 40 count. I didn't. I went with 36 because I struggle a little bit. It's harder for me to see 40 count, and I wanted to enjoy it. So if it's a small or something and I'm worried about size, I might stitch it on a higher count, usually no higher than a 40 count. But if it's a big piece and I really want to enjoy it, I stitch on what I'm happy with, and I really wouldn't have mind stitching this one on a 32 count or 16 count Aida and doing that project bag thing with it because I thought that was fabulous. So I think you can, there's lots of reasons to do whatever you want to do, but I get your thought processes. how big do you want it to be at the end of the day? But with something like this, is you want to enjoy it. The other option with this is to do something like Red February, which is why we kind of did that with you guys, is to show you that you don't always have to stitch the whole sampler. You can pull out your favorite bands or your motifs and make your own little band sampler. And so you don't have to have a piece of banding to do that. You can do that on a piece of linen and do that nun stitch that we talked about. And so if you don't want to stitch the whole sampler, you can just pull out the ones you like and put them on a piece of fabric, and then do your nun stitch on the edges and finish it like a band sampler. The only over one that Alice has, and it may not even be over one there. Let me check. It doesn't look like it. I was going to say her name, but I actually don't think it is. It is not. It's over two. So she does not have any over one. I'm going to look at the little inset for the part that she picked out. That's over one. So you see where she picked out, it has an N and a W, and then it's got a space. What that would have said is North Wing New Orphan House. So it would have said right there in that space, North Wing New Orphan House. No, it's over two. I take it back. It's over two. It's just on a smaller chart. We charted that for you just so that you would have it if you wanted to put it back in, because it was there and she pulled it out. But it's also over two. So there is no over one in this whole sampler. You could stitch her over one if you wanted to. If you want to, you can. A test drive for your indigo threads. Ah, Melanie, that would be beautiful. That would just be gorgeous. Do you think an 18 Aida with one strand? Yes, I do, Rose. I think that'd be beautiful. And that would be like stitching on a 36 count. And in that case, your cut size is 29 by 29. So if you do an 18 count, your cut size would be 29 by 29. So if you wanted to go with a fat half on that and have a 2-inch border on one side, you could do it, because it's 20. A fat half is usually 27 by 36. And you would have a 2-inch border on either side of the, either the width or the height, depending on how you turn it, and 3 inches on the other. And you really, depending on how you're going to frame, no matter really how you frame, because if you need more linen, as long as you have enough to show out from under, between your piece and your frame, which may be a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, you can always have muslin attached to the sides. Just stitch it down the sides, and you can use the muslin to stretch. So if you ever get in a bind, you really only need 1 inch, but, better safe than sorry. Okay, Lori, you're right. I take it back. There's a couple places where the stitcher, Alice, made some funky stitches, and she's got it squished. So it might be over one a little bit in one direction and over two the other way. So there's a few odd stitches like that. There are. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me of that. I forgot about that. So there's a couple places where she made stuff fit, and she's got like over one thread to make it fit. On 36, are you using 2 threads? I don't. I usually use 1 thread on 36, unless it's a really loose weave. And I don't think I have anything like that right now going. I feel like I did that somewhere. I did that on a small. There was a small that I stitched called, it had a little snow bunny on it, or snow person. I kept calling it a bunny rabbit, but I don't know if I called it a snow person or a bunny rabbit, but it was Miss Mary Moon or something like that. And it was a little small I stitched, and it called for 1 thread on 36 count, and I used 2. But normally I just use 1. You're using Weeks. So is it the Weeks Weigart based, or is it the Weeks it's a little looser weave? If it's a Zweigart base, I would use 1. If it's got a little bit looser weave, and you can tell whether or not it's got an orange stripe on the selvage. So a Zweigart base fabric will have that orange stripe on the selvage. and you'll know it's a Zweigart. So if it's Zweigart, I would probably use 1. But if you like the look of 2 better, then use 2. It's that in-between place where people are never really sure, and that's why a lot of people won't stitch on 36 count. Because to their eye, and depending on the fabric, they feel like it might need 2 threads, and they don't like to stitch with 2 threads when they don't have to. So it's really whatever you like the look of. So I'd do a little test stitch or something and see what you like the look of. And you can probably make it work with 2 threads. It's very rare that I use 2 threads on 36 count, unless I want it to look really thick. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I love the way that little one looked with 2 threads. It needed it. There was something about that linen that it just needed it. And so I think that's what you have to look at. You just kind of have to look at what it looks like. Yeah, I like 1 on 36 too. That's generally what I do. And Judy's even saying she's used 1 on 32. And sometimes you have to. If it's a really, if it's an over-dyed linen or a hand-dyed linen, if it got dried, it might be really tight. And 1 thread looks good, and 2 threads looks like a lot. So you just kind of have to do a few test stitches and see what you like. But I would normally, rule of thumb is 1 thread on 36 count, 2 threads on 32. And when you're doing Aida, it's 2 threads on 16 count and 1 thread on 18 count, usually. But that can change, and you just have to go by what you like the look of. On 35 count, you used 1 thread. On 35 count, probably, 1 thread. So, using 1 thread. Yeah, so that's kind of consistently true. But, and Terry, some people like we call it the old weeks. They still make it. But it's a looser weave, and you can stitch in hand. So, you can do the sewing method. So, if you like to, even if you don't, like I was doing a sewing method in a hoop tonight. Even if you don't stitch in hand, you can do a sewing method. But a sewing method is where you're not going to the back of the fabric. You're basically going from the front of the fabric, and you're dipping underneath and coming back up, just like you were sewing something instead of stitching. Normally when I stitch, I poke in and I reach around and I pull out. A lot of people use 2 hands. They'll poke in and they'll pull out. And then some people use the sewing method where they're almost always on top like this. To do the sewing method, it helps if you have a looser weave. And so that's why a lot of people, if they're doing the sewing method, they'll do it in hand, because you can kind of control the fabric better. Or like that original weeks 35 count would be great for that. Sorry. Lori Holt's Flea Market. I like that design. 2 threads, but it seemed heavy. That's that no man's land, Elaine, where some people have that problem a lot. And so they try to stay away from a 36 or 18 count. Deb, you're not learning anything from me, you silly goose. I know you're not. I appreciate that. We learn from Deb all the time. So Deb's in one of my little stitching groups, and she teaches us a lot of stuff. You guys teach me a lot of stuff. Soft fabric, yeah. Yep, you wrap it around your finger. I kind of do the same. I was using a hoop today. I was using a hoop on that Aida, believe it or not, which is a 16 count Aida, and I had it a little bit loose in the hoop, and I was able to do that sewing method. I used to not like the sewing method because my stitches didn't look good, and I've been doing it enough now to where they look a little better. Sorry. So, fun stuff. So you got a few new things coming up from me. It should be fun. No, I haven't. And I appreciate you guys. Barbara asked me if I'd had time to look for a quilt. And thank you guys for all the help with that. I appreciate it. I'm drinking Mountain Dew candy, which is really bad. But it's the only one I've drank today. I did have a Mountain Dew Zero. I've got to lose some weight, people. I'm just going to be flat out honest. The pandemic has not been good to me. I've not been good to myself during the pandemic is what it is. And I got to lose some weight. So me and Mountain Dew are going to have to break up. But it's hard. It's hard to say goodbye. Isn't there a song like that? I forget who sang that. It's hard to say goodbye. So anyway, it is Mountain Dew, and I've got to stop drinking it. So we're gonna have to break up soon. Um, what was I saying? The quilt. So you guys are really helpful and gave me a lot of good tips and tricks. And I guess there's a free thing at the Fat Quarter Shop where you can watch some videos and you can do it for free. I think I have a lot of my fabric. I want to check and just make sure I've got what I need. I need to do something first time out of the box that's not too crazy. So I'm going to probably do that Fat Quarter Shop thing, but use my own Halloween fabric. So, and I did see another one. I watched Lori Holt today doing her star thing, but I think I'm going to stay away from those triangles for the most part. When you started in the 70s, nobody said to stitch with one thread on 18 and 20. So, did it look real chunky, Judy? It probably did. It wasn't the first time I stitched. When I went back to stitching, I learned to embroider when I was like 6. And then I learned to do cross stitch when I was about 12 or so. And then, of course, I dropped it. I was a kid. I did a bunch of little ornaments, and I actually still have the piece of fabric. Some of them got cut out, and you can see the circles in the fabric. I just went in and cut them out. And there's several that are still on the piece of Aida. And I still have the original book. And I even saw that book recently for sale. And so I bought it. That's like 40 years ago. It's crazy town. And it was new. It was for sale new in like Michael's or something. I can see that, Sharon. It felt awkward to me, and it didn't look good until I practiced it a lot. And I don't use it much, but if I'm just doing one row and one row back, I will use it because it keeps me from having to go to the back of the fabric with my hand. Linen wasn't available at that time. You got the biggest count you could. So that's kind of what happened to me. When I went back to it in my 20s, I was probably 19. I probably wasn't even 20 yet because I had not moved away after college. I was still here. And there was another little shop here, and she's retired now, and I miss her. But I went into her shop, and I didn't talk to anybody about it, and I just bought, I did. I bought linen. My first time I bought linen, and I wanted to stitch something on it, but I did not. I guess I must have looked like I knew what I was doing, which, that's my motto in life is fake it till you make it. So I'm not surprised. But I did not know what I was doing. And so I crossed every thread on that piece, and it's teeny tiny. I still have it somewhere. And then I figured out that can't be right. I mean, it was going to come out way too small. And I was an accountant even back then, and I was like, that's not right. And so I finally figured out how to do it. But I got pretty far before I figured out that was not going to be right. So, our struggles stay with us, and we learn good lessons from that. The only thing you drink is coffee, hot tea, or iced tea, of course, with real sugar. Oh, so I never used to drink sweet tea, ever, even though I'm Southern, until I came back home and started dating Everett, and he's an addict. Like, I'm addicted to Mountain Dew. He's addicted to sweet tea. And now he's quit both just recently, and so I definitely don't drink it in front of him, and I try not to drink it at all. I made it all day, but then tonight I was like, oh, I need a Mountain Dew. But anyway, gosh, between menopause and hitting menopause and the pandemic and, just sitting around a lot, I've got some splaining to do, Lucy. That's all I can say. I have got to lose some weight and get back on my treadmill. It'll just make me feel better. It's not because I'm not a happy camper. It's because it's hurting my knees and stuff. I can feel it in my bones. I'm getting too old to carry this weight. Off subject. I know we all have those problems, but I have to change. So me and Mountain Dew are going to break up. I just haven't broke it to him yet. So don't tell him. Secret. Let's see. What else? And I've never drank a cup of coffee. I've never drank a cup of coffee, and I've never smoked a cigarette. Not because I don't like caffeine, because I love Mountain Dew. I just never liked the taste of coffee when I was a little kid. I think I tried it, and I was like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. So, I do have a watch, a Fitbit thing, and I don't know where my charger is. So I've got to get a new one. So your evil's Dr. Pepper. There's always something in there. It's just like, and I love to eat. I don't mind exercising, though. I can get on my treadmill, and I don't like to run. Even when I played sports, And I played sports from the time I was in the second grade until I was in high school. And then in high school, I played for, I didn't play for the high school teams, but I played for like church teams, um, softball and basketball. But I hate to run to the degree that even when I was a little kid and played basketball and I was a starter, I would run back and forth down the court, but when it came to shoot the ball, I literally stopped and shot the ball. I never did a layup. And I had a basketball goal outside, and I think that's why I did it, because it was on grass, and so I couldn't dribble and run and do a layup. And so I just played horse all the time, and I would just move around and shoot the ball. And I can still shoot that ball from just about anywhere within half court and get it in. But if you try to make me take a couple steps, I'll fall down. I just can't do it. Hate to run, but I like to walk. And I can walk on my little treadmill. It's a de-stressor for me. I just got to make sure my knee's in good shape to do it. You bought a giant Coke. God, I'm telling you, it is evil, isn't it? They are evil. These are bad people. But, fortunately, I don't like fast food at all. So the only thing I like fast food, and I only recently found it, are the hotcakes from McDonald's. Just the hot cake, not the meat. But I discovered not too long ago, and by that I mean a couple weeks ago, that they make fantastic pancakes. What's up with that? I was just like, are you kidding me? That's not something I needed to know. Because, now I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get, they're like $3 too. It's like the cheapest thing you can eat. So it's another thing I now have to battle is the pancakes from McDonald's. That's the only fast food thing I like. I do not like fast food at all, which is a problem when you're traveling, because I will not eat fast food when we're traveling. But anyway, not stitching related, except that I need to be able to run around my shop. So I have to lose some weight. So anyway, maybe I'll have to start standing up and doing these videos. And that'll make me more conscious of it. So instead of the headshot. Give me a year. We'll see how we go. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway, it was fun going through all that. I hope you guys didn't mind that foray into real life. But, yeah, so fun stuff. Where have I been? Laugh out loud. At what point in life? I have done some traveling. So, yeah, I guess I managed to ramble on for a while. I hope you guys got some stitching. I love yoga, Deb. Love yoga. I really do. I can't say I'm very good at it, but the times that I've done it, I really felt good. And if you guys have never done yoga, it really does make you feel good. There is something about, I guess, stretching your body, which I do need to do. In those positions, there's some alignment that happens with your body that, in my mind, is almost magical. Like, I can't explain it. I'm sure there's a medical explanation for it. But it does, increase your alertness and your circulation along with your agility. But it actually makes me feel good. Like, it makes me happy to do yoga. So there's some kind of endorphin thing in there too. So I do like yoga. I'm just not very good at it. So, but I also like water aerobics, which I've always hated aerobics. But I did water aerobics with my friend Debbie about a year ago, and I loved it. So I'm probably going to go back and try to do water aerobics, which is fun. I enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much of a workout that was. And of course, it was my first time, and I didn't know that I should take it easy. So I came out of there kind of sore. So, yeah. So, Deb, you teach yoga, I think. But I do love yoga. And I've done it a few times. I'm not proficient, but that's on my list too. I'll probably like it. So, I think that's all for today. I think you're just listening to me complain about getting old. So, that's all good. But you know what? I'm glad to get here. It's a privilege. It is a privilege. And I'm glad all of you guys are here with me. Most of you probably aren't old yet. I'm not really old yet. I'll never be old in my mind. That's what my dad said. He was like 87 when he passed away. And, of course, our last name is Young. He was like, I'm never going to be old. I'm always going to be young. And he was right. He was in there teasing nurses till the very end. He had this little, some kind of little plastic, I want to say it was some kind of lizard thing somebody gave him, and he hid it underneath the covers. And when they came in there to like check his blood pressure or something, he's in hospice. When they came in there to check his blood pressure or something, they pull the covers back and there's this like realistic looking lizard, and he's just cackling. He was a funny dude. Funny, funny. All right, yes, I'm going to be on Fiber Talk Sunday for a few minutes, and I have something special for you guys. So, I haven't even shown it to Gary. He does not know. Beth does not know. Deb does not know. It's a little surprise. So it's a little something special. So yeah, I hope you guys tune in for Fiber Talk on Sunday. It's their 500th show. It should be fabulous. I'm, unworthy to sit in that company. They've got a lot of great people on there. So anyway, it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be listening. I hope you will too. I hope you guys have a fabulous holiday weekend, and I will see you again next Friday. Bye.